Good afternoon.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, depending where you are. Again, welcome to I Love Black People Pan-African History meeting. My name is Awad. I'll be your host for today's meeting. Welcome to each and every one of you. We have just joined us for the first time, and also I can see those who join us every day. I can see there's Christopher Sakala, welcome. Musa Jaula, welcome. Olivia, welcome. And also Yusuf Kone, we appreciate all of you. Jeremy Palm, we appreciate you, brother. Welcome to our Pan-African History meeting. My name is Awad. For those who are joining for the first time, I'm here in Zimbabwe at the I Love Black People offices at the HICC Rainbow Towers Hotel. With me, I have Sister Lynn and also co-host Yvonne Dushime, our database manager. We welcome you. People are still joining. We appreciate Faye Williams, Clyde Fowler, welcome. Crispin Luila, I can't mention all of you, but I see you. Your names are always appearing on this meeting. We respect you, we love you, thank you for the support. And also for the support you are giving us, we are receiving business recommendations. These are safe places which are safer for Black people, whereby they will be treated with their dignity and respect. You are also live on Facebook. Those who are on Facebook are welcome. You can write in the chat room here on Zoom your name, also where you are joining us from. And also those who are on Facebook, you can do the same. You can use the comment section to write your name and also where you are joining us from. We appreciate all of you. Because you are. To start off the meeting, before we give you the lineup for today's program, we're going to have our sister Lynn to lead us in a prayer. She'll do pray in our own indigenous language here in Zimbabwe, which is Shona. So here, Lynn, here you go. You can give us a prayer.
Let us pray. Nomwara katendeka chitenzi baba tinokutendai nenyasha rudo netsitsi dzenyu Jehovha dzamatipa Jehovha kusukungwara kana kugona kwedu Jehovha kuti tinge tiri vapenyu mukati mezuva ranhasi. Baba tinouya pamberi kwenyu Jehovha nemiting yedu yatinayo nhasi. Tinokutendai neumwe neumwe akwanisa Jehovha kunge ari pamiting inoyi nevamwe vachauya Jehovha Mwari. Baba tinongonamatira Jehovha kuti miting inoyi inge iri productive Jehovha kumusoro kudenga. Pawanikwa vanobatsirika kana vaviri kana vatatu. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you all. So I hope and still believe that each and every one of you here, you have downloaded the I Love Black People application app. This is the greatest tool which we have. And also I hope today my sister Yvonne Dushime will answer your questions. Why the I Love Black People application app? And why are you using it to protect Black people from racism and xenophobia? The greatest question is, how are we doing that? I think each and every one of you, if you still have any clarity, you can write in the chat room so that the developer, I think today our lead developer didn't join us, but we do have our database leader who is Yvonne Dushime. She's going to answer those questions. And also we're going to have a speech from our co-founder, Mr. Sinclair Skinner. If you do have any questions, you can still drop them whilst he is to join us. So many people are still joining, but I kindly advise each and everyone to join using their name so that we allow them to join this meeting. Thank you all. We appreciate all of you. Those who are raising their hands, I see you. You can write also your questions in the chat room. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. So without wasting any time, Yvonne, I can see Alex today didn't join. So kindly give an update on our application, which is a Love Black People application, the first of a kind application to be made for protecting Black people from racism and xenophobia. We appreciate the lead developers who were behind the assisting I Love Black People to develop this application. And also each and every one of you who gave the ideas on how to improve the application. And also if you still have any features or anything which you'd like us to improve, kindly write in the chat room so that it can be answered as well. And also I did notice that people didn't send through their reports. A message was sent yesterday in all our WhatsApp groups that you should create the country reports. We need to know each and every update for each and every one of you. We know we're in different countries, we are not in one country, and today we're on a virtual meeting, which is a Pan-African history meeting. So I encourage each and every one of you to update us on what's going on in different countries around the world, so that we know, and we know that message is authenticated, and also that is true, because it will be portrayed by one of us. So thank you all. We appreciate each and every one of you in different countries who spared their time to join us and discuss more issues affecting Black people globally. And also, I'd like to acknowledge that our co-founder, Mr. Christopher Mapondera, has joined us as well on this meeting. Welcome, our co-founder. We'll give him his slot to do a speech as well. So again, Yvonne, you can update the community, the Black community, about the recent upgrades of our application. Here you go.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. As my brother was said, my name is Dushima Yvonne, and I'm from Rwanda, Kigali, and I'm a database developer for ILoveBlackPeople. So with I Love Black People Safe Places app, we are trying to get like identifying safe places for Black people. With you guys downloading the app, you will help us to identify those safe places. For now, we have some places, but we still need your help. You can download the app, and you will get notification asking you like if that place is Black friendly. So if it's Black friendly, you have to like it, and if it's not Black friendly, you have to skip it, or if you're not sure. And one thing is that you can help us by recommending your favorite like places, because if it's safe for you, it's even safe for us. So with your help, we'll be able to protect Black people from racism and xenophobia all over the world. So the updates, I think my brother Awad can help me with the links, iOS and Android link to download the app in the comment section. If you didn't download the app yet, this is the right time to do so. And if there is any other question regarding the app, you can reach out to me, or Award, or any other, or Alex, maybe with a question or any feedback, or what you think we can improve with the app. I think that's all for today. And even if you are not receiving a notification, it means that you have the old app. You can go to your Play Store or Google Play and update the app, that you can start receiving notification asking you if that place is Black friendly. So I think that's all for today. If you have any question, you can just ask me. I'll be on the call to answer that. And those ones who are on Facebook, you can also send your question over, and you'll be able to answer them. Yeah, thank you, Award. I can see that there are no questions.
There are no questions.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for the app in the comments. For those who have not gotten a chance to download, please do download. Continue to download. Share with your friends and family, and help us protect Black people from racism and xenophobia. Okay, at this juncture, we're going to welcome our co-founder, Mr. Christopher Mapondera. We are going to hand it over to you, sir, to lead us for this meeting. Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure meeting with you every Saturday. I really enjoy myself. I wanted to take a different format today, just for a few minutes. I see there are some guys with their hands up, you know, I mean, they need to be addressed to. There's the Christopher Sakala has his hand up, and Musa Jawala. You have your hands up. You have something to say, guys?
Yes, I think they can send if there are questions in the comment section.
Okay. All right. Anyway, today I just wanted to talk about Pan-Africanism. You know, certain things they say, you know, you have to keep repeating it over and over and over and over and over again until you actually make it part of your life. As I've often said, you know, that we don't want to look at Pan-Africanism as just a simple intellectual exercise. We are the people that have to put it into effect. Who can define, you know, what the scope of Pan-Africanism is? We, the African people, are the ones who can only do so. And it's not only about the theoretical, intellectual process that we go through, but right now, for our generation, your generation, we now have to see what are the practical applications of Pan-Africanism. If you go through various African newspapers, various, you know, African magazines and so forth, you find that the mood now is to look at things from an African collective. When you hear the news of what is going on in Malawi, you know, even if you're in Tanzania, you're just as much concerned about what is going on there. Same thing applies to somebody, you know, in Nigeria, you know, here there's something going on in South Africa. They're just as much affected as if this is something that is happening to them. So we have to move away from the theoretical part of Africanism, Pan-Africanism. What are some of the practical issues, you know, or translations of Pan-Africanism that we now have, you know, in our lives? First and foremost, the creation of the AU, you know, which is a result of the OAU, which was created to deal with the colonial oppression. And after the liberation of most of Africa, they transformed the OAU from looking strictly on the liberation of Africa to the transformation and development of Africa. Just excuse me 1 second, please.
All right, whilst waiting for Mr. Mapoka to come back, I did share the links to download the application in chat. You can access it. You can check the name, award, you download it, share the link in the chat room. Welcome back.
Okay, thank you. So I was saying, you know, that we transformed from being an organization concentrating on the decolonization of Africa, the liberation of Africa. Now we're into the phase of development of Africa. But what I think has been the biggest drawback is that we have emphasized more on the intellectual part of Pan-Africanism rather than look at what are the practical elements, you know, that we need to actualize it. Definitely, there are efforts that are going on, as you are aware, you know, that the Africa 2063, which they have set as a target to say, okay, by 2063, we must be totally economically, politically, socially independent and self-sufficient and so forth. Now, that's quite a long time. I like the idea that we are no longer just looking at things in terms of what happens tomorrow, you know, what happens, you know, this morning, this afternoon, you know, what happens 2 years from now, what happens 5 years from now. If you look at how the Chinese, or even all the other groups of people. They look into the long term, they look into the projections, for what will happen. They are no longer looking at to their own generation, by their time, okay, they are preparing their countries for the generations. I mean, by 2063, guys who are 20 years now, by 2063, they'll be probably 40 years. They'll be more or less at the prime age of their resourcefulness. I mean, like you've gone through your college, you've gone through your job, you've obtained some experience and so forth, and then you probably are in a very functional phase of your life. So, which means this generation has to now anticipate that by the time you get to 63, you are 40 years old, what is it that you are going to do to contribute to the development of Africa? Or what will you have done to develop and transform Africa? So these are the questions that I think we have to, and you have to start thinking about. Let's look at things like, why should Africa continue to be looked upon as the continent that cannot feed itself? We have all the land, we have all the necessary climatic conditions, but what is lacking is that we are not relating solution of our problems to the resources that we have and projecting to how do we want to solve this problem. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, no villager anywhere in Africa should be going without food. You've got free land. You've got you can have access to water. You've got the good climate and so forth. But what has been lacking are proper policies, from our own governments and also from ourselves. At times we feel that somebody has to come from somewhere to tell us how to improve our lives, rather than look at ourselves and see, okay, what resources do we have and how can we maximize those resources to meet our needs. As I indicated also some time back, that some other countries, they see the amount of land we have in Africa and how we are underutilizing it. They will come and use it to grow food for their own people. Okay, Africa becomes their field. That okay, we want some rice, we are going to be short of rice. We want some wheat, we're going to be short of wheat. Okay, let's go to Africa. There's a lot of unused land and so forth. So what we have to ask ourselves, is this something that has to continue on and on? Are we still in that mindset, where we feel somebody is going to have to come to solve our problems? Somebody is going to make sure we are fed and so forth. So which means for those of you who are into agriculture, into water engineering, into electrical, into power engineering and so forth, you have now to look into all these disciplines come into effect as far as trying to provide solutions for us. So I hope, that from now on, wherever we are, let's look at how can we feed ourselves as Africans. You don't have to start projecting, well, how am I going to feed the whole country? Start even with just your own village only, okay, with your own family. Even if you are living in the city, maybe in your backyard, you can put a small bed there, start growing your own vegetables and so forth and stuff like that. That's how it's going to move. So you've got the stages, where you're feeding yourself as a family, then you're moving in, you're feeding yourself as a village. From there, you're looking at how you feed yourselves as a country, and from there we look at how we feed ourselves as a continent. With the food alone, I mean, we should be able to employ probably 90% of our population could be employed with the agriculture-based activities. We don't talk of value addition. At times we feel that the value addition can only be when you've got equipment and equipment and so forth. Right now, if you go in some places, they'll have what they call the sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, We're making use of the sun. You don't need any piece of equipment or so. But our own forefathers, they used to use the drying process. I mean, they knew that certain crops would grow a certain time of the year. They will harvest it, and then they sun dry it. Then when the weather changes, they go back and start, using that dried food and so forth. So it's nothing new, that is being done. We have been doing it all along, but it's just that others, they've commercialized the processes that we were using, our ancestors were using before. But nevertheless, as you go into mechanization and as we industrialize more of our agriculture, then you see that more and more people, more and more young people get employed. More and more young people will need various skills, that is computer engineering, you need electrical engineering, civil engineering, all this come together in order to create the kind of industries that are based on the transformation of what we grow in our fields into products that we can use. As I indicated some time back, that if we can try to rationalize even our own agriculture as a continent, there are certain crops that do very well in semi-arid conditions. So why should a country like DRC, where there's a lot of rainfall and so forth, get into those drought-resistant type crops? They should go into things that flourish in those heavy rains. You have places like Uganda, where you can grow just about anything. I mean, the soils are good, the rains and so forth, and so you can grow specific special things that can be grown in Uganda for the whole of Africa, so that we now have the economies of scale. You are no longer just looking at the population of your own country, but you're looking at the 1.4 billion people that we have in Africa. If you can now plan to feed that many people, then there's no point, for us to say, well, I can't get employment, I don't know what to do, and so forth. So I'm just saying this to say, that let's move away from purely intellectualizing Pan-Africanism, but we have to put it into practice. We have to put it into effect. And it's not going to take anybody else but ourselves to do it. Whatever profession you are into, always think, okay, what is it I can do to contribute to us feeding ourselves as Africa? I mean, we continue to be a laughing stock. They show, when they want to project Africa, they are showing all these emaciated, babies, they're crying, they're, hungry and this and that and so forth. But at the same time, they don't want to show, that whilst they are publicizing these negative images of Africa, they're coming through the back door and, getting all the food they want from us and, take it back to their own countries. So we have to be in control of our resources. Let's be in control of feeding ourselves. That is the least that we can do for ourselves, but also at the same time, because we're now exposed to technology, and so forth. So we can start integrating that, into our food production, value addition, so that you are able to address the needs of the 1.4 billion people that we have in Africa. So that's what I have for you today. The message: let's feed ourselves. Let Africa feed itself, not to depend on anybody else to come and give us some handouts of stale food that they no longer need in their own country, and so, oh well, the African people, because they're so poor, they're so hungry, they'll take anything. We should not continue to subject ourselves to that. Okay, that's what I have. I don't know if there are any comments, and I've got a few minutes that you can chat.
Yes, there are questions.
Yeah.
One question from Sankora.
Yes, I can see there are no questions.
No, there are one from Sankora from Sierra Leone. He's asking, one question that keeps me thinking is whether all African people, Revolutionary Party is with us. Unity is strength, so says the wise adage. We should endeavor to ensure the participation of various Black organizations everywhere. So,
I didn't quite get the last part of the question, or?
No, the question was whether African People Revolutionary Party are with us. Other was a comment.
Well, I don't know what you are defining as the revolutionary parties. You know, I would say, you know, the revolution is you if you want to change things. Okay, you cannot continue to look at, wow, there's going to be a messiah coming to say, okay, here's the revolution, you know, we're going to change. It's you. It's everything starts with you. Okay, what is it that you want to revolutionize? One with you within yourself as an individual, and also for the collective, you know, for your society and of Africa. So basically, your obligation, my obligation, is that let's educate each other. If the revolutionary leaders or any leaders, if they are not with us, we have to educate them. You know, we have to find ways of getting the messages across to them. But also at the same time, when we start with things that we have control over, there's nothing. I mean, you can't have a dictator come to your village and say, "Oh, why are you feeding your people? You know, why are you putting a borehole here to feed your people?" No, you can't do that. But if there are more and more of us making ourselves self-sufficient as far as food is concerned, at the end of the day, they all actually want to come and hijack the movement. You know, say, "Oh yeah, this is a good thing," and then they start paying attention to what we are doing. Just what I see here, how does the Black diaspora contribute to the unification of Africa and the Pan-African vision? Well, again, the diaspora, as we discussed last time, is anyone of African origin who either was forcibly taken away from Africa or those who voluntarily left Africa to go and, you know, start a new life somewhere. There's a lot that the diaspora can contribute. One is to help change the mindset of those who are still back home in Africa, in the sense that the diaspora are exposed to technology, they're exposed to finance, they're exposed to, you know, thinking collectively. I think probably people outside of Africa may think more collectively than people within Africa, simply because of the way people can be able to interact. I mean, you can go to Atlanta, you find someone from Nigeria, from Rwanda, from wherever, and so forth. So even from those who are from the US, it becomes very easy to communicate. Yeah, whereas back in Africa, the chances, you know, that somebody in Soweto can be able to relate to someone in Nairobi and so forth may not be as easy. But so the diaspora, I mean, can play quite a significant role, and you know, I think we should also use them quite a bit. You know, some time back I did mention, you know, that you can play a role by making the diaspora understand what resources, you know, are in your country. You know, why should they come? You know, to what opportunities and are in your country and so forth. You know, use the platforms like we have here. You know, to get in touch with some of the diaspora that are on the platform. You know, educate them what you have in your country, and you know, that's how they can, you know, also come and play a role. I understand. I'm sure I've heard it 1,000 times that Africa is rich in all human needs and in terms of production, we can feed the whole world. Then what's keeping us from doing it? Again, as I mentioned, that it starts with you. We have to change our mindset. If you can't feed yourself as an individual, then it means you are looking for somebody else to be able to do so. If you can't contribute to feeding, your neighbors and so forth, it means you are looking for somebody to do so. So let's move away from the mindset of somebody coming to do things for us. Let's look at how we are going to do it for ourselves. I think that will solve the whole issue of, well, Africa can't feed itself. How come we are not doing so? No, you can't look for somebody else to do it for you. You have to take the initiative as well, to contribute towards that. Okay, anything else? Yes, the pollution starts with 1. Okay, I got that point. I really love the idea that okay, the issue of this is from Sanko Alima. Yes, I mean the African diaspora, the African Union has already, accepted or adopted the fact that the African diaspora should make up what I call the 6th region, given that the whole of Africa right now has been divided into five regions. And then the diaspora has been, termed the 6th region. There are a lot of activities going on to try and actualize that. People in the diaspora are also pushing hard to see that this is realized. I'm sure you have heard about the African, which was also quite a very good initiative, where the AU and the Caribbean countries, formed an organization so that there's more dialogue and collaboration between the two. But the diaspora is much larger than that. I mean, you have people like, countries like Brazil, got to over, 200 million people of African origin there. Okay, but right now they've been so dissociated from Africa, that some of them don't even know that they are African or what have you. But slowly, because of the interaction, that is taking place, the TVs, internet and so forth, many are beginning to realize that they are part of a much larger group, which is Africa, and that they cannot continue to, if they're sick and tired of racism, whether it is in Mexico, Brazil, wherever, USA, they can relocate to Africa. And that movement is quite lively, it's going on. If you watch Wodemaya and a few other guys, they've been, showcasing the number of diaspora, who have been moving to Africa. Some have successfully done so, others, they come, they find things that are a little bit tough, they go back and so forth. But that is expected. Okay. What is Kristen saying? Okay, I got 2 minutes before Sister Kwa comes on. Yeah, okay. I think we got that. So today we're looking into the food self-sufficiency, how we can feed ourselves and why we should be able to feed ourselves, and why it's not an impossible dream to do so. We just have to make up our minds, change our mindset and say, okay, from now on, Africa is going to feed itself and no more reliance on the, outside people to come and, feed us, but we have to do it ourselves. Of course, we have situations where we have, climate change, which is actually caused by the industrialized countries, than anything else that's causing all these climate, problems we have, of which we become innocent victims of it, but nevertheless, I think we should be in control. So this time we talked about agriculture. Next time I'll look into the issues of industrialization, and we'll look into issues of power. We'll look into issues of water supply and so forth. So there's quite a lot of things, but my message, Pan-Africanism cannot be simply an intellectual thing, but we have to actualize it ourselves. And it's us who can do it and translate it, into something that is practical. Thank you so much. And you all have a wonderful weekend. And we meet next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mapondela, for your wonderful lecture. People did enjoy your lectures, and also they did interact with you in the chat room. We appreciate all of you who were interacting with the co-founder through his slot. We appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Sure, have a good time.
Thank you. So lined up today, we're also going to have a lecture with Nana Kuwa-Zenzele, and also the Pan-African history class with Dr. Green, right? Those who still have questions, you can send through them at the chat room. Our co-founder will answer them next week through his speeches. And also don't forget to join us and invite your friends. Yes, I can see Katola Jolie had a contribution. I think I said we have enough land in Uganda to grow food to feed the 1.4 billion Africans, but have to implement good projects.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Mapondela, you are on mute.
Okay, I couldn't unmute myself. Yes, I am. Yes, I mean, you're just reinforcing what I was saying. That's why I even gave Uganda as an example, that Uganda has got some of the most fertile land, all the most ideal climatic conditions for mass food production. Okay, so it is up to you and me to see how do we maximize food production in Uganda to feed the whole of Africa. Why not? I mean, I know that things like pineapples, they do extremely well in Uganda, but I see people having to import pineapples, from Brazil, from Europe, and so forth. So I agree with you. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, co-founder. Yeah, we ran out of time. Nana Kuwa-Zenzele is here for the lecture. Welcome, Nana Kuwa.
Thank you. Thank you. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. I think my vision will look a little different. I'm using my iPad today because I'm doing some other work on this laptop that's a little finicky, as we already know from times that it's kind of cut out, like last week. I lost the connection, so hopefully this will be better. However, I will not be able to share my documents. And let me see how I can see everybody, because I like to see the people. Let me switch my view. Hey, there we go. Okay, I see Christopher. That was the first face I saw. Hey, Yvonne, Amara, Youssef, Walgak. I'm sorry, I might mispronounce your name. Gatluck, Jerome. Who else am I seeing? Mr. Vincent looks still, but I guess, is that his picture? Is that you live? Okay, I see you shook your head. Okay, good job. Yes, okay, wonderful. And I can't get to the other screen. Okay, hopefully I'm not missing anyone that's showing their faces. Thank you so much for indulging me. Oh yeah, there's Jennifer. Yes, Jerome, I think I shouted you out. Okay, well, awesome. Well, greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us again today. So, we had switched over to the 30-minute session. And with that, I thought that we were extending the number of sessions for the coursework to 8 weeks, but we are still maintaining the 4-week cycles. So for those of you who are regulars, I'm going to kind of go on with what I didn't, what I did not discuss in the last week. And then I'll still give the overview for how these 4 weeks will go, but I don't want to miss speaking about the 2 areas that we didn't focus on these last 4 weeks, right? So, but the main thing I want to point out, the focus for me with the healthcare class is to, okay, this I think cuts down my, I don't know. Hopefully you can still see me well. I moved the iPad, but hopefully you can still see me well. So I
yes,
want
I
to
can still see you.
Okay, very well. So I want to just make sure that you're clear on what it is I want to share and teach during this class. So even if we're not kind of going in order and I kind of have to readjust what we speak about each week in the 4-week intervals for 30 minutes, my goal is to make sure you understand what holistic medicine is, what traditional healing is, and understand what falls under that umbrella of holistic medicine, natural medicine, traditional medicine. And then I also want you to have a, at least an overview. You wouldn't have a very detailed knowledge per se, it's just not enough time, but a working understanding of basic nutritional facts. What are some of the main vitamins and nutrition components? Vitamins, minerals, water, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, that sort of thing. And then I want you to really, as an herbalist, I think it's important that we all have a working understanding of the power of herbal medicine, as well as some other natural healing modalities like homeopathic remedies, essential oils, flower remedies that heal the emotions, other therapies that are considered kind of touch therapies or physical therapies like chiropractic care, acupuncture, all of these, massage. There are many different components that fall under holistic healing. And so I wanted to give an overview of what we want to discuss, as well as making sure that we all have an understanding of the need to cleanse and detox the body. So those are the areas that I want to make sure that are focused on. But what I would have, I guess, spoken about in the last session, which was the end of that session, is the cleansing and detox piece, as well as the stress release piece. So I had kind of broken up the information a little differently than how we're going right now. But I think what I really want to focus on today is kind of quickly cleansing and detoxification, and maybe hit a little bit about some of our common health complaints like hypertension and diabetes that kind of across the board affect Black people, African people throughout the planet. Okay, so when we're talking about, and of course, with all of this information, you'll then be equipped to boost your immune system, build your body, strengthen your constitution, make yourself more vital, more vibrant, allow your body to be at a more optimal place to fight off infection and disease and other illnesses, discomforts, things of that nature. So that is, in fact, the point for all of this. And so I'm a little kind of out of order with our new schedule right now, but I don't want to miss anything if you all have been kind of following along. So, but that's just sort of what we'll cover. But today, let's focus on cleansing and detoxification. So we know that there are 5 paths of elimination, right? We know that the body has to cleanse. There are different organs and vehicles in which the body uses to do that. We know that it may be done through the skin. We may do it through the colon. We may do it through the lungs, the kidneys, or the liver. And if any one of these areas is compromised, or meaning not cleansed and not functioning properly because it's toxic, then we know that it will impact all of those other paths of elimination, right? So everything is relative, everything is related. We know that all of these areas have to be addressed. Sometimes when we think about cleansing, we're only talking about colon cleansing, elimination, evacuating the bowels. But we know that all of these other areas are necessary to be clean and detoxed so that they can operate on an optimal level, right? So while, as a colon therapist, definitely colon health is important. Definitely I want to focus on you having at least 1 to 2 bowel movements every day. And really at least 2. You don't have to have every, meal that you take in have as many bowel movements as meals you eat, but at least 2, I think, is a good idea in terms of how often you should eliminate. But even as important as that is, I don't want to overlook how important it is for your lungs to be strengthened, and that you do conscious work to cleanse and detox your lungs. We know that breath is the source of everything. You can't breathe, you don't have life. And so and I say this, and I've been saying this, I guess, these couple of years, right? So of course, in the day of COVID, we know that our respiratory health is important. And that has kind of come to the forefront for folk who maybe have never had respiratory issues, right? But we've always had those concerns and the need to take care of our lungs and our respiratory system. So we want to make sure that we're doing herbs that are cleansing and tonifying and cleansing and detoxifying to the lungs. So we want to do things like mullein or lungwort, or of course, as cleansing, are making sure that we're doing breathing exercises that are going to strengthen the lungs and allow us to push out any toxic gases that we've inhaled. In certain environments, we know make us more prone to intoxicating our lungs. If we work outside, if we work around certain chemicals, if we work around certain vehicles, we know that all is very important with that. We know that, thank God, we don't have to think about breathing, but when we do, we're exercising that lung, that organ muscle. And so we want to do or any number of breathing exercises to make sure that we're exercising that organ. And I pulled out my my sheet because I was drawing a blank. So I said lungwort, I said mullein, but there's also lobelia, there's eucalyptus, there's peppermint, there's plantain leaves, there's osha root, there's chaparral. There's several herbs that can be used to cleanse the lungs. And in addition to the lungs, we know that we have to deal with cleansing the kidneys. That is responsible for filtering out all of our fluid waste. A lot of times people are not familiar with the importance of the kidneys unless you have some kind of issue where you have to go on dialysis, if you're diabetic or if you are hypertensive. There are certain reasons that maybe the importance of the kidneys would come about. Some people get chronic urinary tract infections or bladder infections, or some men will have enlarged prostates, and it will then prohibit the flow of your urine, and it'll impact your kidneys and your bladder. So there are different reasons that maybe you would kind of pay attention to that. But even if you're not having any issue, know that it is important to cleanse and filter the kidneys on a very regular basis. Water is an excellent way in which to do that. I feel like I'm dark. Am I? Trying this iPad thing. We're trying. I don't know if this is gonna work for me, but hopefully it's okay. But we know that we have to consciously cleanse our kidneys. And so cranberry and pure cranberry juice, not cranberry juice cocktail with different sugars added and other juices to dilute it. We know that cranberry is very tart, so it's not usually a drink that you may take on a regular basis for pleasure, right? Because pure cranberry juice is very, very tart. And so you may need to add it to a sweeter juice, but you still want it to be predominantly cranberry. Some people will elect to do cranberry capsules, but this will not be your typical pleasure juice. But if you're drinking it for the health benefits, you want pure cranberry juice. There are many other herbs that are great for the kidneys as well. Buchu, which I know is native to, I want to say, some parts of South Africa. We know that uva ursi is a very good herb for the kidneys. Juniper berry, dandelion, turmeric. There are many herbs that are great for cleansing the kidneys. You can do different drinks that will include lemon or lime, cucumber, celery, things of that nature. You can blend them or you can juice them through a juicer, but there are many ways in which to cleanse and detox the kidneys, okay? Moving on to the colon. We know that the colon is very important. I've already kind of mentioned the importance of that. Some herbs that are great for moving and stimulating the colon are things like senna, cascara sagrada, turkey rhubarb, slippery elm. There are many herbs that have sort of that laxative effect that will cleanse the colon. And sometimes when we become stagnant, where we are constipated, where we don't have regular bowel movements, we know that we have to do those kind of stimulant types of herbs that will get that peristalsis in the colon going so that it gets back into the routine and habit of going and moving every day, at least a couple of times a day, right? So that's the colon. And then of course we know high fiber foods, full of pectin. So if you're doing apple or grapefruits or fruits like that that are high in fiber, that's going to be a good option in terms of things to eat. There'll be green leafy vegetables, things of that nature. I wouldn't so much get into like bran, because then you're getting into taking in probably carbs that you may or may not really need. But if you're doing, say, a high fiber bran or flaxseed muffin or something of that nature, fine. Or some kind of high fiber, I was going to say protein. It could have protein, but like a high fiber cereal. Those are things that are good in terms of adding fiber to the diet that can cleanse the colon as well. But water is also going to be key here. And avoiding, you know, a lot of processed foods, processed sugars, foods that have different additives like your high fructose corn syrup or your hydrogenated oils. You want to avoid foods like that because that, of course, will build up and cause the colon to get blocked and stagnant and not move as regularly as it should. We know that sugar is a big culprit for constipation, as well as a slew of other health conditions. So these are things that will address colon cleansing. Skin. I think skin is the skin and liver are next. So we know that the skin is our largest organ. And we definitely take the skin for granted. Unless you have, say, a chronic skin condition, most of us ignore our skin and its importance. But this is our barrier throughout our whole body, our scalp, you know, our bellies, the soles of our feet. From top to bottom, we are covered and sheltered and encased in skin. And it is our largest organ, and it is a filtering organ. And so if everything else on the inside is compromised, it will come out. It will manifest through the skin. So a lot of times when you develop things like boils or cysts or abscesses, or you have acne in a lot of cases. A lot of that is hormonal, but sometimes when you are older or you think beyond the age of where you would typically have acne or some kind of skin breakouts or eruptions, this could be toxicity because you need to cleanse and purify your skin. And so skin brushing is one way to do that. Definitely if you're doing a fast, or if you are doing some kind of detox diet or cleansing ritual with your foods, you can include skin brushing, or you can do it, of course, on a daily basis. But this is going to slow away all of the dry, dead skin cells that may be on top of your skin. And we know that it also stimulates the lymphatic system, which is responsible for your immune response and fighting off infections and that sort of thing. So that's one way in terms of dealing with the skin. Water is crucial in terms of skin health as well. And then, and I'm glad I didn't purposely, but I left skin and liver last, but they are intertwined, because we know that how we treat and heal the skin is through the liver. Okay, and so all of the skin healing herbs are going to also be liver cleansing herbs as well. So if you are taking certain herbs like dandelion or yellow dock or burdock or milk thistle, these are all liver cleansing herbs because they flush and filter the blood. That is what from the inside out heals the skin. There, of course, are other herbs and such that are used for the skin as well. But know that whatever will cleanse the liver is going to heal and cleanse the skin as well. Okay. And we know other herbs like aloe, neem, marigold. These are also skin healing herbs as well. So this is going to help to purify and cleanse the skin. So lastly, the liver. We know that the liver is very resilient. It is the organ that kind of regenerates itself when necessary. So it takes a big beating. It filters all of the toxins in the body, whether it's pharmaceutical drugs that you take in for a health condition, if it's over-the-counter drugs, if it's certain types of foods, whatever gets into the bloodstream that has no benefit to the body and is causing toxicity, the liver is responsible for filtering that. And of course, people who drink in excess, you know, it helps that you not drink, but if you drink, you really have to do that thing that we call moderation. Some people don't believe in moderation. I do believe moderation is a thing. Those are usually people that don't think there's a gray area, right? So everything is not black or white. A lot of us live in the middle, right? A lot of us, now certain things, of course, we have to make a decision. We have to pick a side of the fence. But we know that when we're talking about how we eat, how we live, the rigorous things that we'll, you know, experience in life, there's not always a yes or a no. So it may not be that you will stop drinking. It may not be that you'll stop eating sugar. It may not be that you'll stop, and it won't be that you'll stop having stress, right? I mean, I don't know that that's possible. So we have to know how to limit ourselves, and then what to do when we know we've kind of stepped off track a little bit. And so a liver cleanse, of all of the 5 paths of elimination that I've mentioned, all are important. But if you ever are feeling like, where do I start? I want to cleanse, I want to detox. What do I do first? The liver is always an excellent first place to start. So I mentioned some of the herbs that are great for the liver already. We know that there are certain smoothies, juices, things that you can consume that are great for the liver. You may include turmeric, ginger, along with the other herbs I've already mentioned, the dandelion, the yellow dock, the burdock, milk thistle, things of that nature. But we know that we have to make sure we're watching the types of fats that we're taking into the body. And, you know, we're doing healthy oils. We're not doing, I'm not a fan of soybean oil. And in all my travels, I don't know how easily accessible other forms of oils are on the continent. Definitely here in the States, we will have a lot of options for different types of oils. So when possible, if you can get an oil that's not that basic vegetable oil or soybean oil, you're gonna be better for it. If you can get an olive oil, or if you can get, which is not my favorite, but still it's become a little more popular, so that might be more accessible and a better option than say your regular vegetable soybean oil. But we know that there are much higher quality oils: grapeseed oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, sunflower, safflower, walnut. There are many different sources of oils that we can take in that are going to be better options than your standard vegetable oil. And then you just want to limit how much of these things you're doing anyway. So that's sort of the piece on detoxing and my little setup here, and really addressing how to cleanse the body so that it can operate at an optimal level. So I wanted to make sure I address that. But let me go into what would really have been, and I know I only have 5 minutes. The basic tenets of holistic healing or holistic medicine is that you look to the root of the problem. We do have to address symptoms. We do have to look at what is happening in the body, but we have to look deeper and figure out what is causing it, what changed. And a lot of times, this is not your practitioner that will answer these questions. It starts with you. And this is another main piece of what I want to relay here during these classes, is to empower you. You are your star player. You are the most knowledgeable person in most regards. Now, will you need other people to assist in your healing, to kind of guide you? Absolutely. But you will go armed with the information of, well, what did I change? Did I sleep differently for less time? Am I stressed? Is something, some other life change or some transition I'm going through, or some traumatic experience happened? Am I eating differently? Is my schedule changed to where I can no longer eat breakfast, or no longer eat dinner, or I'm not eating until midnight? Whatever changes have occurred, always take note of all of those things when something physical or mental or emotional happens, because all of these things play a part in how well you're doing and how you feel. And so that's a primary tenet of holistic healing, knowing what is going on and really trying to find out why. You're having headaches? Oh, it could be that your blood pressure is high. Oh, but it also could be that you're having vision problems. It could also be that you're stressed. You know, it could be a number of things. You know, your blood sugar has increased. Okay, did you start drinking something differently? And while you may have thought it was healthy for you, maybe it has some artificial sweeteners in it, or high fructose corn syrup, or some whatever sugars or otherwise that is not setting right with your system and is elevating your blood sugar. You know, it can be a number of issues. Sometimes we will think that they're unrelated. They have nothing to do with what is actually going on, but it's all relative. It's all relative, and it's all important to take note of in terms of what may be the solution. So take charge. Keep a diary, keep a food diary, keep a mental health diary. Always track how you're feeling, what is going on with you. Are you stressed? Are you happy? You know, what things you can do to make yourself happy. I have many quotes and sayings, right? I have mantras, whatever you want to call them. And, you know, one thing I often say and live by is I create my own happiness, right? Or create my own sunshine. Right? Because that's the only thing you can do. You can't control other people, can't control what people do, how they treat you, right? But you can control how you feel about yourself, how you respond to other people. That's very big, because we have so much interaction with other people, or the outside world, or what other people do impacts our lives. We have a feeling about that. There's a saying, I feel some kind of way. Like, we feel some kind of way about a lot of things, but know that those things can impact how we are doing physically, emotionally, spiritually. So keep track of everything. If you're feeling down, if you feeling meh, you know, I don't feel too great, or you wake up with overwhelming joy, prayerfully, right? Then assess, hey, how did that happen, so that I can bottle that up and get some more of it and do it more often, and, you know, recreate that routine. But always keep track of everything. A lot of times we think things are insignificant and don't impact us. It does. And so look into all of the various ways to heal. Look into essential oils, look into flower remedies, look into herbs. If you like tea, don't drink that Lipton tea, that white or black tea, you know, do green tea, do alfalfa, you know, do chickweed, you know, do dandelion, you know, whatever. There's so many herbs. And so where we'll pick up next week is on the different types of plants that heal and how we can add them into our daily lives, what we can add to our diets, what we can make as our drinks, whether it's a liquid meal because we're fasting or whether we're adding it to our diet. You know, what kind of plants will affect us physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I don't usually in that class talk about the spiritual effects of herbs, but I think I'll even throw some of that in as well, because all of it is relative. It's all important. So thank you for joining. Still figuring out the best device to use. I'll probably be back on my laptop and we'll share some handouts with you. But as always, I have enjoyed seeing your beautiful Black faces. And as always, I bid you good health and peace.
Okay, thank you so much, Nana Akua, for a wonderful lecture. We really enjoyed it. Although people has wanted to see some handouts, I'll share with them the link so that they can reach out to you on your email address.
They can email and request
yes,
that.
I did share the link. Yes. So I did share the link in the chat room so you can access it. So thank you so much, Nana. Enjoy the rest of your weekend as well.
Thank you.
All right. On next, we are going to have our Pan-African history class with Dr. Taryn Wright.
I was waiting to get unmuted. Okay,
All right.
so you'll see me momentarily. Welcome everyone to the Pan-African History and Organizing course. You'll see me in 1 second. I too am navigating multiple devices and whatever. So I will be sharing the syllabus course in a moment. And I just wanted to welcome you all because this is the 18th class that we have done on Pan-African history and organizing. I'm trying to get in position. And so it's almost exactly 2 years from the time that we started these classes 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. All right, let's see if my camera's gonna work. Okay, great. All right, everyone. So I can't see you all until I put my glasses on. Can everyone see me? Okay.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, great. So it's almost 2 years since we started. This is like, it's a little funny. 2 years since we started doing this course, Pan-African History and Organizing. And so what I'm going to share is essentially, and actually I'll probably go off camera for 1 second. I'm going to share the syllabus. It's 4 weeks, and we are going to cover the history of Pan-Africanism from its inception to present, pretty much, and then talk about how we can, as people who are ambassadors of I Love Black People, can in essence incorporate the action that Pan-Africanism requires. Okay. First off, we'll be using a couple of books, and I don't see them off the bat, but one of the main books that we're going to be using is a book that I wrote called Booker T. Washington and Africa, The Making of a Pan-Africanist. Those of you who are from the United States, don't get caught up. It's not a fixation on Booker T. Washington, but it is a text where we can look at the actual cases that Washington was involved in that stopped the U.S. from curtailing African immigration. And I'll get more in detail with that later, but that is one of the cases we'll be looking at, where there was U.S. policy created in 1915 by a Missouri senator that excluded anyone of the Black or African race from the United States from that point on. And it was none other than Booker T. Washington who actually challenged that legislation and stopped it. My camera is like, so hold on. Fuzzy. Okay, so it was actually Booker T. Washington who challenged that legislation and defeated it in the Congress. So the point is that we'll be looking at that, because the idea of Pan-Africanism that we're going to be studying is a concept that is actionable. Okay, it's not sterile. And that is what the core of what you should get from this course. I'm gonna, while we're talking, put the documents up. But actually, you know what? To keep from interrupting this, I'm going to share the last syllabus, right? And the only difference will be the dates. I'm going to share that so you can see the content of the course and how we will get through this subject matter. Also, the course will be not just the readings, which will be provided in PDF in the WhatsApp group, but I also will be sharing some films that I think are important to initiate the discourse around Pan-Africanism. The first of the films that I will share is going to be today, okay? Because even with my courses in the academic setting at the university, I like to begin a conversation around humanity and what it means to be human and who is human, because that is very important. Okay, we are African people, Black people. We are the first human beings on the earth. And most of the time that humanity has existed on earth, it has existed in Africa. Okay, so I always quote my old classmate. So for most of the time on earth, that 200,000 to 300,000 years that humanity has existed, to be African is what it meant to be human. Okay? For most of the, let me say that again, for most of the time in the history of humanity, African is what it meant to be human. Okay? It's synonymous for most of our time on the earth. Okay? It's only been in the last 50,000 years or so, which is 1 second in historical terms, that humanity has branched out, come out into the rest of the world and spread to the four corners of the world. And upon arrival, we are still African, identifiably Black. African is who we are. Black is a physical description or characteristic that is natural to human beings. It's the human jacket. Until 500 years ago, which is 2 minutes ago, these very young people called Europeans came along and decided to create this construct called race. And now to say Black means you belong to a certain group, and it's all based on physical appearance, okay? That being said, most of the time that we or human beings have been on the earth, all of its world's indigenous people, right? So when we come out of Africa and go to the four corners of the world, we are still Black. It is our natural characteristic. So I do want you to come out of this course with an understanding between culture and race. Culture is who we truly are. Race is a construct that has been imposed on us. as Dr. John Henry Clark, one of our great historians from here in the United States, one of our great African historians from here in the United States, said, land, culture, people, right? There's no Black land, right? But there is in Africa, right? African culture, African continent, African people. And yes, we know that we're not all homogeneous, right? I want to just say this. I'm going off on a tangent just a little bit. When we say African and people challenge it, because of course a lot of people challenge it, say, oh, well, Africa's a continent. Make sure your rebuttal is that nobody says that when people say they're Asian. They don't say, oh, Asia's a continent. How dare you call yourself Asian, right? Nobody says that. Nobody says that in response to European. Nobody says, oh, there's many countries in Europe. How dare you call yourself European, right? But when one says African, are so many challenges. And we know as African people, we are not homogeneous. We are not all alike. We are the world's greatest diversity. We are responsible for the world's diversity. The world's diversity comes from African people who are the parents of all of humanity, right? So that being said, we are African. That is the culture, right? Our cultures, many, many cultures, and the parent, the house of humanity, Africa. And Black is a natural characteristic which we have been assigned. Is a natural characteristic that we manifest, right? Our melanin. However, race has been assigned to us, and we are in this deathlock of a struggle in the world around defending our humanity as a result of this construct called race, right? When you think about it, the oldest people on the earth, which are African people, having to defend their humanity as a result of the youngest people on the earth having created a construct that puts our humanity in question. The irony, right? The irony. So let me get right to it. I'm going to share the syllabus, and it's pretty standard. It's going to be the same. I provide all of the readings in Blackboard not in Blackboard, I'm sorry, in WhatsApp. I'm mixing. The semester just ended here for me. And yes, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you 2 minutes of information about where I teach, some of my own background, all of that good stuff. But I always just jump right in, so please forgive me. But that being said, all of the reading materials will be given to you in WhatsApp. And please, please make sure that you keep the materials, because these materials are actually, otherwise you would have to pay for them. They come from a number of books and resources that are generally not at anyone's fingertip, right? You would generally have to pay to download it somewhere or buy the book to get it out of and all of that kind of stuff. So some of them are historic documents. Some of the documents are probably not even available anymore that I'm going to be sharing with you in here. So do save them, compile them, meaning even though you have them in WhatsApp, you never know, make sure you download them wherever you have it, save it on a flash drive or whatever the case may be, the readings, because they are valuable. You'll be getting, for example, the conference resolutions of the first Pan-African Congresses, which we're going to talk about. Very important moment in history. I'll be giving you the Congress resolutions of the first Pan-African Congress and the fifth Pan-African Congress. And all of these things are major historical documents. They're from 1919, at least 100 years ago plus now. And the other from the Manchester Conference, which is over over 70 years ago now. So I do want you to keep those materials so for your further reference, okay? But let me pause here. Actually, while I'm pausing, you can like write in the chat, and I'm about to share the syllabus. So hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, you can post in the chat. So like if you have any questions, and like I said, ignore the little dates on here because the first session, I always got to start out with the revisions, and I'm always not on time with that because we flow right so quickly from one cycle to the next. But I see that you all are a little bit smaller than our other groups. So this time I might actually get a chance to know some of you and communicate and all of that. Okay. 1 second, I'm looking for this document. So the other thing I was going to say while I'm looking for the document, I will be also sharing the film, The Journey of Man, A Genetic Odyssey. Okay. And that was my point of starting the conversation with a discussion of who is human, what it means to be human, right? And who we are in the relationship to the rest of the world. We are the parent people, African people. And so I always start this conversation about Pan-Africanism out with precisely that point, okay? And then, of course, all right, this thing is making me really work to get to the document, so please bear with me. So I always like to start out, no matter what I'm teaching, with that particular point, that humanity began in Africa. So this film that I'm going to be sharing right after we get off, please don't be turned off by the fact that this is some white male. What it is that we are using his experience of doing DNA mapping to establish for ourselves and to affirm what we already know, which is that we are the humans on this earth, right? And so, but here you get a chance to see the out of Africa theory backed up with science, okay? And so, oh my goodness, hold on. And so, I'm gonna be sharing two things with you all, so bear with me, but so that is the point. So in the film, there is a geneticist named Spencer Wells who will be going around the world testing DNA to prove or to establish the migratory patterns of humanity, the Homo sapien sapien, from Africa to the rest of the world. And so he is not correct about everything. He is correct about one singular thing, which is the DNA mapping, okay? Other than that, don't listen to him. But the other purpose of watching such a film is to gather information regarding the fact that regarding attitudes towards African and Black people in the world. Okay, and so you actually get some window into. Okay, I'm trying to locate our syllabus, and for some reason I'm missing it. It's a window into attitudes in the world towards us, okay? And it gives us great insight as far as that's concerned. Okay, I'm gonna do it another way. All right, as long as you guys can still hear me, and please let me know, well, yeah, please let me know if you can't.
Yes, sir, we can still hear you.
Okay, all right, so I just need to locate, for some reason, I'm not seeing my syllabus. Okay, but so he is right about one singular thing, and that is that humanity began in Africa, okay, and migrated to the four corners of the world. Beyond that, his opinions about who established science and all of these things are not correct. Okay, but he is in fact a European, right? And he of course wants to, you know, sort of make some statement for his people in saying that they are the pioneers of science, when in fact we know that they are not. Okay, so don't be deterred by that because that's not what we're there for. We are just utilizing him. So 1 second. I am going to open it up now in a second. Okay. All right, it's not moving as I wanted. All right, well, I'll be sharing that in a second. I'll probably right after the class. Okay. So let me just tell you a little bit about me real quick before, because we're not going to be on that long. So I didn't get it posted because I don't know what's wrong. It's not opening up the syllabus. So I have to play with it. Little technical stuff going on this morning. So what you will get is the syllabus and the first reading. You'll get the syllabus for this course, and then you'll get the first reading, which is going to be a chapter called Booker T. Washington, Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africanist. And it comes from the book Booker T. Washington in Africa, which I'm the author of. And you will be able to navigate the history of Pan-Africanism from its inception in 1900 to present. Okay. I will be in the group walking you through, and I will actually be asking questions, and you know, you can ask questions too as you navigate the reading. So the first chapter, like I said, is going to be Booker T. Washington, Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africanist, and you're going to watch a film called The Journey of Man, A Genetic Odyssey. Okay, so those are the two things that will go right into the group. If you're not already registered with I Love Black People and part of the ambassadorship, then you won't be able to access this stuff outside. But if you register, I see we're pretty light this semester or this cycle, but you should still be able to register and get in the course and get access to the documents and everything else. The film I'm going to share with you, it's on YouTube. It's no big deal to access it. Once again, it's called The Journey of Man, A Genetic Odyssey. However, the reading comes directly from the book I wrote, Booker T. Washington, Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africanist, is the actual chapter we'll be reading coming up. Let me just tell you a little bit about me, and then I'm going to get off because I can post these documents and not spend any more time. or take up that much more of your time, because I know most of you have been on for a while. That being said, so my name is Tyreen Wright. I've been doing this with I Love Black People for a while. I'm a Tuskegee alumni, Tuskegee University alumni in the United States. And I got a Bachelor of Science in History from Tuskegee University. And then I went on to get a master's in modern African history, where I studied the political history of Africa, particularly liberation struggles and the necessity of armed struggle in East Africa. And then I would go on to get my PhD in interdisciplinary studies, but with a focus and concentration in public policy. I combined that with my historical background, and basically I studied the impact of policy on African populations globally. At one time, I had the opportunity to live and teach in Dakar, Senegal, at the University of Cheikh Anta Diop. Currently, I'm in the United States, and I teach history and African history, African American history, culture, and sometimes political thought and philosophical thought. So that's it. We're going to use a couple of chapters from a book that I wrote called Booker T. Washington in Africa. The administrators can share the link for you if you're in the States and you're interested in that book. If you are international, first of all, I'm going to give you the chapters that we're going to use in that book. So there's no need for you to buy that book at all. I know some people sometimes want to buy it because it is a little bit unique and off the beaten path. For those of you who are in the United States and you know about Booker T. Washington in Africa, I mean, you know about Booker T. Washington, you know that an analysis of his role in Africa is very different and unique. That's fine if you're in the United States and you want to go to the website and buy the book. But if you are outside of the United States, do not buy the book. Okay, it's too expensive to ship, all of that kind of stuff. And in a couple of months or so, the book is going to be available in ebook format, much cheaper and, faster, right? So do not buy the book if you're outside of the United States. If you're in the United States and you're interested, fine. But for this group and for this course, it's not necessary. So that's pretty much about me. Like I said, this course is going to follow the idea and concept and practice of Pan-Africanism from the continent, or from its inception in 1900 with the first Pan-African Conference, all the way up into the present. And we can look at how it is practiced. Ultimately, will culminate with the ways in which we intend, as people who are a part of I Love Black People, to love African people with action. Because that's one of the things that people have forgotten about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is actionable, right? It's not just about African people from all over the world coming together. Right? When we come together, that's not Pan-Africanist. When we come together and we do something that is meant to eradicate our condition of being oppressed and exploited, that is Pan-Africanism. Right? So think of Pan-Africanism as a verb, an action, right? With regard to our condition globally, everywhere we are, right? So that's the thing I want to leave with you today. I'm going to get those documents up. Technically, it didn't work out so well today about getting stuff up, but hello, Zoe Owusu. Hello, how are you? So I didn't do a good job with the technical side today, but don't worry about it. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to post everything I need to post, and then I will be talking to you in the group, okay? All right, so Kyle Toon, let the administrators know you want to join the course. great. Clyde Fowler, I am because we are. Okay, so these look like other comments that they were for Nana Akua, which is great. And that means that I am actually going to end exactly on time for once. So on the day that I don't get the technology right and get everything opened as usual, like we usually like to do, it is the one day that I actually end on time, right? Because I'm supposed to come on at 11:15 and then end at 11:45. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end, and then I'm going to be posting in the group the documents to bring us forward. So one, I'll be posting the film, The Journey of Man, A Genetic Odyssey. It's standard. I even use it in my university courses. Like, this is the default. Let's begin the conversation about who we are, right? And who we are is African people, okay? We are African people. And African people is synonymous, African is synonymous with human. So we've got to start at that part of the conversation. That is the starting point of our conversation, our discourse. Then second, you will have a article or essay, book chapter called Booker T. Washington, Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africanist, okay? Which is about the history of Pan-Africanism. And the only reason why I use this particular text is because, yes, it comes from my book, but I also can ensure that it's going to cover all the major points of Pan-African history as a course should, right? So that's why I use it, okay? It takes you on a tour of the African world in terms of the history of Pan-Africanism, and it's important that you are grounded in that history, okay? So that you can know the work that you're doing with I Love Black People. This is not a one-off. We are in the tradition. We have been coming together, African people, Black people. We have been coming together for well over 100 years, plus, to strategize around our condition as we struggle against white supremacy and culture. So I want you to feel that, and that is why I'm going to be using this chapter specifically from my book. And then we'll discuss that and then move on to another reading, which is the case that we'll be dealing with on African immigration. Okay. I bid you farewell. I'm going to wrap up. I don't see too many other questions, just a lot of greetings. Thank you so much. I'm always happy to see all of you. Oh, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you, Domingos, Antonio. And, okay, yes. Thank you. So, oh, great, Kyle Toon. Okay, so you'll be, just look in the WhatsApp group and you'll be seeing the documents. So you'll see the syllabus, you'll see the film, you'll see the first chapter. We're going to be reading together on Booker T. Washington, Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africanist, okay? All right, everyone, please enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. It's a little bit of something going on everywhere in the world. And I, again, want to thank you for committing your time and energy, because time is what life is made of. So we understand and respect that you're committing your time to put energy towards the struggle of African people and what we're doing here. I love Black people, okay? All right, and we appreciate it. Thank you all. I am because we are. All right.
Thank you so much, Professor Taryn Wright. We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate each and every one of you who were participating through the chat room. Thank you. Join us next week, same time, same place. I am because you are. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, all of you. Respect, peace, and love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.